Neymar is one of the hot topics in this year's silly season. His talent isn't questionable, but still the biggest clubs are afraid to sign him. You might wonder why. In this video, we will dig into the highs and lows of Neymar's life. The rumors of Neymar's departure from PSG are widely spoken about, and at the start of this transfer window, it was reported that Barcelona rejected the chance to re-sign Neymar. The Brazilian forward is currently transfer listed, even though Paris Saint-Germain have never officially communicated their star player's status. However, as things stand, not many clubs have shown a keen interest in signing a player whose story in France should be considered over. It is pretty crazy if you ask us. Of all the players, Neymar would be one of the last players any club would consider letting go of. When Neymar is at his best, there aren't many players who can change outcomes of games like he does. But sadly, things simply haven't worked out for the Brazilian. So let's start with the Barcelona rejection. If you think about it, it doesn't make sense, because a couple of years ago, Barca were eager to be reunited with their former player. At that time, however, PSG were in no mood to let go of their star player. Neymar was performing very well, and even though he had his injury issues, he was always an integral part of the starting 11. Fast forward 2 years and things have changed dramatically for both the player and the club. PSG have been trying to offload quite a few players since the start of 2023. They did not flinch a lot when Lionel Messi started showing textbook signs of a player who wasn't interested in signing a new deal. Sergio Ramos's deal was not extended once it expired. Mauro Icardi was sold to Galatasaray in a cut-price deal. Once the 2022-23 campaign drew towards its finale, reports started surfacing that PSG were offering Neymar to any club that was interested in him. His agent, Pini Zahavi, was tasked with finding a new club. It was widely believed that a return to Barcelona should be on the cards, especially after Messi decided to join Inter Miami. Moreover, Zahavi has a very good relationship with Barca president Joan Laporta. In 2017, Neymar left Barca for PSG for a world record €222 million. And when Neymar left, apparently he did burn a few bridges. Things have been patched up since then, but even that isn't enough. According to reports in Spanish media, there are two key reasons why Barcelona politely rejected the chance to sign a player who enjoyed a lot of success at Camp Nou. One reason is that the Spanish giants are aware of the financial implications of signing a player like Neymar. The reigning Spanish champions can no longer cut corners around the league's financial fair play regulations. They're already struggling financially, so can't sign players who will add more burden to the already bulging wage bill. But the second reason is much more harrowing and gives us a very good insight of how far Neymar's stock has fallen. Xavi and the technical leaders at the club don't want to risk disrupting the squad harmony by bringing a player who has been known to be a divisive figure. What is even more surprising is that Xavi, who played with Neymar at Barcelona, also did not object to the rejection. This means that Barcelona have moved on from Neymar, while his current club is also trying to do the same. PSG sporting director Luis Campos has been very clear about things. PSG need to change, and this shift in ideology has been quite visible in their transfer activity. They are no longer trying to spend big bucks on shiny toys. This time around, the recruitment policy seems to be more well thought out, as evidenced by the acquisitions of Manuel Ugarte, Milan Skriniar, Lucas Hernandez, and Marco Asensio. Campos also approached the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United, and Newcastle. All three clubs have the financial means to secure a player of Neymar's caliber, but the fact that they haven't acted on it means that they're not convinced that the Brazilian is someone who will help them reach their respective milestones. Therefore, PSG will now have to look for other ways to get rid of Neymar and his huge salary. Okay, we do understand why European football has moved on from Neymar. This means that maybe a team from Saudi Arabia would be interested. In recent weeks, we've already seen clubs from the Saudi League make huge financial commitments to sign the likes of Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and others. Most of these Saudi clubs have the financial means to offer a player of Neymar's pedigree a really lucrative contract. However, this hasn't happened so far, which clearly means that there is something about Neymar that many club owners don't like. With just 1 year left on his current deal, the likelihood is that Neymar will have to settle for another season in France. On the face of it, this shouldn't be a big deal because he will be reunited with Luis Enrique, under whom he enjoyed his best days back at Barcelona. But even a reunion with a former manager might not be enough for Neymar, given the current state of things. PSG are now shifting towards a more sustainable approach. Their transfer window escapades of yesteryears have definitely not produced the desired results. Yes, they have made Ligue 1 their own, but then again, Ligue 1 was never a league that was hard to win for a team that has the financial might of PSG. They've kept on failing in the Champions League, something that has been a pipe dream for the Qatari owners. No amount of star power has worked, and with so many big egos in one dressing room, how can you expect a manager to transform a team into a tightly knit group? And Neymar, regardless of how good he is also part of the problem. He was bought at Parc des Princes as someone who would help PSG win the Champions League. Since then, though, their European journeys have been as barren as the Kalahari Desert. At the same time, how can we ignore the fact that Neymar is one of the most injury-prone stars of all time? That guy is just a firm tackle away from spending time away from the pitch. Last season, he missed 15 games due to an ankle injury. In total, he has missed a whopping 100 games for PSG due to injury since signing for them in 2017. This has resulted in the player never realizing his true potential in France, which is another reason why the prophecy of him winning the Ballon d'Or one day never became a reality. But even if his injuries weren't entirely his fault, clubs are now very careful about the players they sign. Many teams are willing to back their managers, but they'd always be very suspicious when it comes to signing divisive figures. And Neymar is definitely one of those, because boy, he has a crazy lifestyle. From always going to bed really late because of his eagerness to play video games, to attending events outside of France, especially when he's injured, Neymar is quite a handful. Unlike most of his close friends, Neymar has never been serious about settling down, which is why he goes through girlfriends faster than we go through our laundry. This party boy stigma has started catching up to Neymar, and at the age of 31, it is the main reason why the top teams in Europe have distanced themselves from him. Of course, it is fine if your lifestyle doesn't get in the way of your ability. The likes of Romario, Ronaldo, Nazario, and Ronaldinho had similar issues. However, these things were ignored for most of their careers because they backed everything up with their performances on the pitch. The sad reality is that Neymar never did that, and he probably won't ever in the future either. Neymar could have been even better than some of the greatest Brazilian players of all time. Sadly, he could never do that since his priorities started changing the moment he signed for PSG. Neymar left Barcelona to come out of Messi's shadow. He was indulged by the French giants, and no one at the club ever saw any need to instill some discipline in him. All this culminated in a player whose focus shifted from performing on the pitch to being more of a celebrity, enjoying prominence through previous achievements. Some of you might not agree with our assessment, but do you think that Neymar has done himself any favors during his time at PSG? We have never seen him become a dressing room leader, and we've rarely seen him help PSG through testing times. And today, we're at a point where teams in Europe are observing from afar, noticing every single thing, and then deciding that they'd rather put their hands on top of a flame than consider signing a player who is likely to leave the game altogether with a whimper.